Hello, and welcome to LiveThatSINY. With your host, Jah Dreddz. Today we have lightweight champion and national finalist Team Universe, Mr. Anthony Hunt Jr.
Yes, that was
Yes.
nice.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I like that introduction. Thank you.
Okay, now introduce yourself to my fans.
Anthony Hunt Jr., representing Staten Island, New York, first and foremost, always.
Okay, now, we got you here because you're the national finalist. You're the Team Universe representative of Staten Island. So,
Staten Island, New York.
right, Staten Island,
First
New York.
is first would be actually New York, and then it would be Staten Island because that's directly where, everything started for me.
Okay, so
Yes.
give us the whole story. How did it start for you? How did you begin? What was your motivation? What made you want to get into that?
Okay. Well, my father got me back in the gym, Anthony Hunt Sr., and I would train so hard in the gym, right? So before I actually joined my first competition, a lot of guys were like, "Yo, you have a nice physique. You should compete. You should compete." And I'm like, it's always been a thought in the back of my head, but you think, nah, I'm not good enough to be in no magazines. I can't look like that. So one day I was working out in the gym, and I'm coming down the steps, and this older lady, she's sitting down at the bottom of the steps in a seat, and she says, "Hey, does anyone ever tell you that you have nice symmetry?" So I don't even know what symmetry meant. So I'm
Right,
like,
right.
I'm gonna go home and look that up. I don't know whether I should smile. I just smile and shake my head like,
Right.
But she had suggested that I should think about competing, And when she looked at me, she just assumed that I was heavier than I really was. She said, I could see you at middleweight or, light heavyweight. And she introduced me to her husband, and he actually knew me from being in the gym and gave me little bits and pointers here and there. And his name is Mr. Leon Brown.
Oh wow, the legend.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I met Leon, I'm like, okay, this guy looks familiar. Where do I know this guy from? Right. So that later on that night, I'm at home looking at my Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding guide, right? And I'm
Right.
like, oh snap. I know this guy from the gym. He got pictures like when these guys first started out. So I was like, now I'm so honored. Like this guy was talking to me, and his wife was saying, I should compete. So that's basically how everything took off from there. But it was my father who actually got the protein and had me researching all of this stuff. So every time my father would go ahead and buy me something like a protein shake or amino acids, my job was to research it.
Okay.
So I did all the researching for both of us. So that was the way that because I wasn't gainfully employed at the time, so it was like I was doing bodybuilding in the spare time. So in my
Do
spare
you
time,
really need money to bodybuild?
yeah, you need money to definitely to bodybuild. It's an old saying that bodybuilding is a poor man's sport, meaning that you can bodybuild off any diet, but to be competitive at this level and receive any type of awards, it comes with a dollar sign. So here I am representing Staten Island and have no sponsors as of now, and I'm trying to continue with doing a junior national show.
And how important are sponsors backing you?
Well, sponsorship would actually mean that someone took an interest of me and my physique, and they feel I have what it takes, and besides the way I talk, what they actually see in the physique that say, you know what, let me sponsor this individual. Maybe he'll come to an outing or give some advice on dieting and what have you. And in return, they actually help out by the sponsorship with actually paying for either supplements, food in most cases, and even actually the most important part is the interest fee to these actual contests. Um, because coming out of pocket, you know, win, lose, or draw, you're paying your own way 99% of the
Right.
time.
Right.
And the guys who have sponsorships, yeah, they tend to fear to do a little bit more, a little better, because that's one issue that they don't have to worry about. Like if I could just focus on training and not have to worry about any other avenue other than day to day stress with your family, you know.
Right. Okay, I understand that. You hit on supplements a little bit. What are do you use supplements is the first question. And if you do, what are supplements you use and what are some supplements you just stay away from, period?
Okay, being a natural bodybuilder, I actually compete in the NPC, so a lot of people they don't understand the difference between natural and not so much natural. I'll just explain it like that. A natural bodybuilder, in particular, basically it's your food intake and only your food and small supplementation like protein or what have you to achieve a specific look. And an unnatural bodybuilder, uh, the difference is that they achieve a specific look without, it's not just food.
Okay, so basically supplements is just not vitamins and it includes food also.
Yeah, most supplements are diuretic from food, either egg, milk, wheat, right? It's just processed in a way that your body can absorb it faster, as opposed to sitting there eating a steak dinner and you gotta wait a certain amount of hours before that steak is broken down and transported through the muscle. So you can actually eat, but it's a quicker process, being that it's liquefied. You know.
So
So if you're familiar with the term juicing, you can juice some salad and throw an egg in there, and it's the same thing as buying whey protein. For most guys out there, if you know anything about bodybuilding and real bodybuilding, that's the first thing you would do. Is like, okay, I don't have any protein. I'll get some milk, some eggs, and some oatmeal. Bang, that's a protein shake. Add a little syrup, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, give it some flavoring. Even you can add ice cream, depending on what's your goal.
all right, so basically, I want you to just explain just the abbreviated term, the NPC that you keep saying. Let the viewers know
Oh,
exactly what that stands for.
the NPC is the term is actual. It's on the trophy here. National Physique Committee,
Oh, okay.
USA, right? And um, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bev Francis, Steve Weinberg to thank for this, to create like a venue for us to showplace and display you know these physiques. Now, Bev Francis is to me the female equivalency to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So if you're familiar with the NPC and what they do, like if you gotta know who she is, and Steve Weinberg, her husband,
Right.
right? Actually, they actually the all my championship trophies up here, uh, they were at all of these events because I did Metropolitan 2004, Metropolitan 2005. The Brooklyn Grand Prix is the tall trophy in the center. That trophy was received, and that was Matt Bristol event out there in Brooklyn, New York.
Right. Right.
And that was a fun trophy, by the way, because backstage, the other competitors didn't even bother. Once we got undressed, they didn't even bother to come out on stage. And this was the first time I was up there with the top five. Not the top five, so to speak, the weight class winners of each weight class. So that was the first time that I have on tape that I could look at myself and actually register what I bring to the table against, the heavier competitors. because when you're backstage, it's good, outside in the street. It's like, I feel good, I look good, I get a lot of compliments. But standing next to people who do the exact same thing, how do you feel? Like it's scary backstage. You're like, oh, do I have it? What am I doing here? You go through that thought process when you're at the event.
Right. But it must be a good feeling because you keep going back by the looks of all of these trophies. And he said 2004 and 2005, but he meant 2014 and 2015.
2014, 2015.
He's current.
Yes, current, very current.
So just let my viewers know, you mentioned juicing a little bit. Juicing, I know, usually consists of steroids, but he wasn't talking about that kind of juicing. He was talking more in the lines of blending up.
Fruit juice, right. Yeah.
Making your own.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, we gotta make that clear. See, being that I'm 100% natural, juice means juice to me. So if you don't know that, it's a big difference between the body structure. Once you use unnatural substances, it begins to look unnatural. That's the best way I can explain an unnatural physique. A natural physique meaning, if you look at my shoulder development, I work my shoulders. Shoulders are considered a small muscle group, so they don't have the potential to be gigantic unless you're using an outside source, right? That's one thing, and maybe acne is a real bad thing with usage of outside sources when it comes to bodybuilding. You get that all over your body.
So these are some of the things that you look for
no,
compared to...
No, I don't look for it.
Not
because
you. I'm talking about like the judges, maybe.
No. What an individual does to what they feel they need to do to get to a specific level is what they need to do. What I know about my body and what I want to accomplish, I feel good and I feel honored to be on this level to actually grace the stage in front of these living legends and people I grew up reading about. So I'm just honored to be there. A lot of people don't look at bodybuilding as a learning aspect. I do. Each step I take, I'm actually learning as I'm going along. And for the most part, backstage, I command the most respect because you could tell that, I've learned quite a lot through bodybuilding.
So how long did it take you to reach where you are now?
I currently been training faithfully Monday through Friday, maybe Sundays, maybe Saturdays, depending, for about 6 years straight. I've been competing for 2 years, and I know it doesn't seem like that. You see close to a half a dozen titles up here. So obviously, like I said, I've learned.
There's more.
More to come, yeah.
Right, more to come.
Yeah.
And, the sky's the limit. So just let our viewers know, how do they get involved in just the fitness, the competition,
Okay.
What does it take?
Some people, well, let me let you know about being misinformed, first and foremost. You have guys that are in the industry that aren't 100% natural, right? But yet they're taking these pictures and they publicize and they have you believing that this is a natural physique. And realistically, if you're not using the same supplements, it would be difficult for you to actually achieve the same look. But this is the beauty of bodybuilding. This is why I embrace bodybuilding. The goal is to work on your weak body parts and bring them up to code, right? Now, representing a natural bodybuilding and fitness, right? What I bring to the table is what I actually done on my own accord, all the way down to the dieting. The dieting is the craziest part. But here I am, an individual that can naturally say, like, look, this is realistic, this is possible. That might not be so possible. In order for me to make that claim, I have to have some experience as far as, getting out there and going and looking and competing at these shows, see what the difference is with myself, not just saying, oh, you can't get like that or you can't get like this, and have no way of backing that up. Like I actually went and did pretty good.
So being natural means a lot to you, you know.
Yeah, the whole process. I look at bodybuilding as a learning process. Again, the more sources of that you have to learn from. Given my location, I'm in the area of New Brighton, to where a couple of my friends may, uh, acquaintances may have had some trouble with the law. Coming home, they have a different body structure as opposed to a normal individual. It looked like, they learned, how to bodybuild somewhat, right? So I was always curious to how did they manage to achieve that with the bare basics? It's not like they join a fancy gym and you have all of these. So I learned, a great deal of discipline from other individuals. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. I don't have to be at that location to do it. I can do it right here in the gym. And that's basically where I started to push myself a little bit harder, because it's like, I have all this free time. What am I gonna do with my free time?
Right?
I might as well get myself in shape, so I can at least feel good about myself, because that's the basis of my training, is to look good, feel good, to be positive, surround yourself around positive people, you know.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the competition and
Yeah, that's the best.
yes, just explain how long have you explain how long you competed. Sorry, viewers, but what I really wanted to know was how old were you when you won your first competition?
Oh, okay. Um, I was the ripe young age of 37.
Oh yes, ripe and
So
young. You hear that, viewers?
so when they say that, when you get outside influence to say you can't do something, or I mean, the can't is the first thing you lose when you begin bodybuilding. That's the first word you lose. Can't, no, any word that's gonna trigger any doubt in your mind. Everything is can do, can do. You know, not even so much try. You either do it or you don't. That's the whole philosophy of bodybuilding. You either get it done or you didn't get it done. You know, so when at at this particular age, most guys, if you've been bodybuilding and heavy lifting for a long amount of time, it wears and tears on your joints also. But I was versed in the old school, so I don't train with belts and stuff like that, because if you do that, you hinder your development, right? Now, you do utilize belts when you go super, super heavy, because you got to be safe. Better be safe than sorry. But for the most part, I'm going to go without a belt and without scraps, because I want to strengthen the muscles in between. I want to get those little minute muscles, because that's what registers when you're on the stage. Uh, I usually get a lot of compliments to my back development. It's basic movements. Your most fundamental movements are going to yield the greatest results when it comes to your training.
Right.
Um, Heavy compound movements is going to add size. You need to know the body mechanism. The movements are very important, but the way the muscle, the individual grain of the muscle, like for instance your shoulder muscles, the grain will go vertical up and down, right? Your chest will be horizontal, except for underneath the chest, where you can have this movement here, which starts from here to here. To address that muscle in particular there, comes with a dipping movement, right? Now, if you're familiar with dips, and once you understand that your mind is your most powerful tool, um, case in point, if you were in a desert, right, and you were stranded in the desert, and the sun is heating you up, and you're burning off your body fat and everything, right? You would begin to see a mirage. Your mind would play tricks on you, where you would see water when there was no water, right?
Okay.
Same thing mentally. So when I'm in the gym and I use a couple of key words to push me over the edge, like if I'm about to burn out and I'm really going, I'll say explode. Just the fact of you thinking of an explosion is enough to power you through a next the next rep. It's a lot of key words. So bodybuilding is mostly mental, and if you learn how to actually attack each individual muscle, you begin to start seeing a change, a metamorphosis of the whole anatomy of your structure. You know, so it's basically more of what you know and how to apply it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
very powerful right there. If you're just tuning in, you're watching LiveThatSINY. You got your host here, Jah Dreddz. I'm here with lightweight champion Anthony Hunt Jr., national finalist, Team Universe.
Yes.
Now, I have to ask you, what has been the secret? I know you probably dropped it in there, but for anybody just tuning in, you
Yeah.
know, what has been the secret to your success? We have plenty of trophies here, so you have been very successful at what you're doing. And just talking to you, it seems you're very informative, not only with the knowledge, but with the, you know, the final end results.
Study, 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 study. If you love to do something, you're gonna find it very easy. I love to bodybuild. I love to give myself at least that 1 hour a day to myself. A lot of people, when you get off of work, you get home and give yourself at least an hour. It's called depressurizing. Is that the correct term, or to leave your work at work? You know,
I guess that's just going home and relaxing.
yeah.
Just
But decompression or something of along those lines. But anyway, anything you love to do, you're gonna excel at first and foremost. Now, during my free time, excuse me.
okay.
I apologize for
tell
that.
them fans you're on TV live.
un-
Come on, man.
That's unprofessional.
Yes. Don't worry about
Now, the sound guy also told me to have cut these devices off, and that's the
happens.
first thing they tell you in the movies, to cut
Yes,
those
it
devices off.
happens.
That was
It
very unprofessional, but
that. You just got me to turn mine off, so
I
we're
was-
gonna have it happen again.
okay. So back to the question, actually, right? If you love to do something, you're gonna excel at it, and you're gonna excel according to your education of what you're actually doing. So during my downtime, one of the ways I like to relax is actually, going back in a time machine and looking at Arnold and those physiques, because I actually model my training specifically around certain movements to create what I believe is the ideal strong look. Now, when you begin bodybuilding, you know for a fact that everything comes with time. Now, going through, say I wanted to change my upper body development as far as my shoulders and what have you, I know in order to start this process, I would take some pictures of myself, right? Because the if you go through a training regimen, you're going to be attempting to do so for at least 4 to 6 weeks before you can even really see if your body's responding to the specific training.
Okay, so that's big. A lot of people just want it overnight, and that's how we get to people using things they're not supposed to be using.
Yeah, most of the time they're just really uninformed. Like when a question comes down to dieting, a lot of people believe that, oh, they have to lose weight, drop in body weight to actually register a change on the scale. If you're naturally a certain amount of weight, right, and you switch the foods that you're eating, you can remain that same weight but look totally different. This is what I achieved through bodybuilding. It's called lean muscle mass, right? Now, because I train heavy 4 to 5 days out of the week, right, this is to support thicker, denser muscles.
Yeah, it shows. I'm sure the viewers can see.
It's
He looks like he weighs more than me. I'm 190, 200 pounds. And how much do you weigh?
154 pounds.
And he makes me look skinny.
So this is because the muscle has the capability to actually spread. Um, and this is what you actually see in lean muscle mass. As far as keeping my body fat, I walk around at about 5.6% body fat. And when you get ready for one of these shows, I'll probably get that down closer to like 4, maybe 3. And that's really tricky because what wind up happening is you need a certain amount of body fat to survive. So I
Period.
actually, yeah, so I actually add fat pills. I'll take fish oil pills and stuff like that because I got to keep that. It got to be, it's a close balance before you get on stage.
Right.
When
Is
you
that all the time? Because I know you just finished training for a competition which you placed, you know,
third, I took third.
took third, got home and you was in second, and
Yeah, with a con, with that is a little bit of controversy.
big
Like
word controversy.
it's a little bit of controversy because as a competitor, I have no, I have no, I don't dictate what the judges do, and I can't dictate whether these guys go to a natural show and try to pull a rabbit out of the hat by actually doing any trickery and stuff. But when you're tested, at the national level, they test your urine and whatnot, and you know, that's the easiest test to pass.
For you.
Yeah, that's
And
the
for you,
easiest
because
test
you're
to pass
natural.
because
So that must be a great
that's
feeling when
that's
you're there. And you like, bring them the test. You know what I'm saying?
you know. So for me, not placing where I want it, most of the time, it's like where I'm at, where my body's mature at, as far maturity as far as muscle wise. I'm registering, like hotcakes, you know. But occasionally, like what wind up happening is you just got these close, it'd be one of those shows to where like I felt like I did a little bit better for the Atlantic State and I wasn't properly rewarded. But as a competitor, you're always gonna feel that way, and I'm not bitter. What I try to take from every show is a learning process, something I learned. Whether it's backstage talking to another competitor, I just got a tip on uh, when to start cutting water or do something sooner or do something later or what to eat. I try to absorb all of that and apply it in my next time out. That's the difference between a champion and somebody who's just gonna be a run of the mill.
Yeah, so basically, nothing's going to stop you from
Nah.
attaining them goals that you're seeking, which is the number one position and becoming a professional.
Um, it's not so much the number one position or becoming a professional. I just like the fact that I'm being rewarded for something that I started doing personally just to look and feel better about myself. I'm actually being rewarded from my extent of reading and knowledge and all of the stuff that I've been absorbing and applying. And it feels good to be able to give somebody advice knowing that it's sincere, that I did it myself. You can do it too. I know how. I could show you. It feels good. And you take that home. You feel good and complete at the end of the day when somebody asks you a question and you can answer them intelligently. You know, you have a great deal of people who are not informed. Like I'm training. I'm not gonna speak on the location, and I'm watching the personal trainers, and
I mean, you don't have to speak on a location, but you can shout out, you know.
no, I don't want to do none of the above. Or basically, merely I'm gonna say that the personal trainers that they had there, uh, I'm walking around with a detox water. So the guy says, "What's that? Why you got all those vegetables in your water?" And I said, "I'm detoxing. I got a show and whatever like that." And he didn't know what it was. Now, when I was growing up, you take pride in your work and pride in what you do. What kind of pride is that to where you are so quote unquote professional because you get paid to tell people and help people out and help them to look better, and you have no knowledge of I feel like that's hypocritical. Like you should take more pride in your job, do some research, do some homework, so you could be better informed people at least.
Right, on that level, yeah, but the shout out I was talking about was to the owner of the gym that had allowed me to come in there and film and
Oh,
yes,
Harold,
yes,
Harold, yes.
promised him that
Harold is a nice gentleman. How you doing,
yes,
Harold?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in now, you're watching LiveThatSINY with your host Jah Dreddz, sitting here with lightweight champion Anthony Hunt Jr., national finalist, Team Universe.
Yes.
So let's talk about, we didn't hit a little bit of everything. Let's
Yeah.
go into the misconceptions of bodybuilding. Like,
Oh man, it's a lot.
there's a lot of them.
Where would
So
you like to start?
the main one is just people feel they can go to the gym for 1 week. I touched on it a bit, and then they're gonna see a Mr. Universe package, and when they don't see the Mr. Universe package, it's like, oh, I ain't doing it no more.
All right. Well, I'll touch on that area by addressing this area. Uh, when they go out to get these protein shakes, I didn't know in the beginning when I first started out that there was actual difference in the protein. Um, Meaning, you have a mass gainer shake, you have a regular protein shake, and then you'll have a meal replacement shake. I figured it had protein in it. They all did the same thing because they all got vitamins and they all got a bunch of words that I can't even spell, So I figured, I had to do research on that also, right? Now, the difference between a mass gainer and a regular protein shake is the amount of calories you're actually going to be consuming 1 cup of this mass gainer shake.
Right.
A regular weight gainer shake is going to be a little bit less on the calorie side, and then you have a different version where all the carbs are taken out, and that's like something that you would use like for competition wise, and it'll be low calorie, but they're still virtually the same. Um, Now, a meal replacement shake is totally different altogether. It's going to be around the highest I seen was about 20 grams of protein. It's going to be high in fiber, and it's going to be equivalency to you actually getting a balanced diet, like actually sitting down and eating some food. Now, the fiber that's in this product allows your body to feel like you just ate some food. But the best way to take that would usually be with like a fruit or something like a banana or what have you, just to really have something that your body can really break down and digest. You don't just do it. It's called smart supplementation. You don't just do it with the milkshake and think you're gonna add muscle. Oh, I take this milkshake, bang, I'm gonna be like this, and then they get discouraged about the whole training process because they took this for a month. They usually stick with the protein for longer than they actually stick with a workout program. You gotta combine the two in order for you to see the most of the training. Other than that, an energy drink.
Okay.
Excuse me. An energy drink is something totally different. So an energy drink is something that you would take before you work out and give you a little extra, right? And that's where the supplement companies throw these fancy words at you: explosion, C4, all the stuff, all my keywords that I actually use when I'm training for mental strength, right? They throw it at you, and you get I like this stuff. It gives me.
Yeah, they use it for advertising, use it for mental strength.
Basically, you can do the same thing with coffee, black coffee, but it's a certain amount of coffee. It'll be like, say, 300 milligrams or something like that. Now, if you're not familiar with 300 milligrams of coffee,
please explain.
that would be like 3 cups of black coffee. You wouldn't want to add any sugars or anything with it. The coffee will do its own job. A lot of, this is bodybuilding. A lot of people say, 3 cups of coffee is too much. I know ladies that work in an office building that drink about 7, 8 cups, and they get up and go. But see, what the thing with the coffee is you crash later.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to crash. The supplement companies have a way of adding certain, balances to where you can get that energy, and then you come down on a normal come down. You know.
Okay, another misconception I would like to hit on is that we all have the same body types, and I just found out there's different body types.
Okay. Now about about the body types, you'll hear like a lot of older guys hit you with the "I'm big boned" and stuff like that. That's kind of cuckoo.
Right, I'm one of them cuckoo people.
Everybody's bones are basically the same. As far as your build, right? Your anatomy. The only difference would be female, male. You know, we would have different anatomy on the lower part,
Right,
like because they give birth, they'll be slightly wider
right,
or what have you. But you have ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, right? And these are the basic three types. So to explain to explain it in detail is a topic that we will touch on maybe at a later date because it's more complex, and
okay,
we don't actually, you might not have enough time to fit it in. But the difference in the body structure will allow you to build muscle either easily or not so easily. Now, it still boils down to what you're doing when you're actually training, whether you're doing heavy compound movements or you're messing around with the pulley system, which are the machines where you pull. And now, if you're gonna bodybuild, most of those machines will be used early as a warm up or after as a pump, right? You're gonna stick to more free weights because free weights allow you to keep more of a natural movement. And when you're bodybuilding, it's not like weightlifting. You're actually looking for a contraction. You want to squeeze and release the muscle to create breakage, right? You don't want to sit there and just move the weight from point A to point B. That's weightlifters. Now, a power lifter is going to move some real heavy weight, but it's strategic. It's an actual technique. Those are the like Olympic weight trainers where
right.
they holding all this weight over their head and they're picking up this, you know, it's a technique. Now, bodybuilding, the successful bodybuilder shows the muscle and reveals the muscle from doing both. You combinate those, your heavy lifts and your repetition. Bodybuilding, everything's wide grip. Powerlifting, powerlifting, and everything is close grip, right? Closer to the body, allow you to lift heavier weight, right? Now, squatting, bodybuilding, close. Powerlifting, wide apart. Wide apart give you a more balanced center of gravity, so it allow you to actually load up more weight. And then the way you use the muscle is different. When you're coming down, you're actually trying to attempt to use your legs as springs, so you're stretching the muscle, right? And these different techniques allow you to build a different type of physique. But again, the most important thing in bodybuilding is consistency. So if you have a stressful life and you're with a woman who's giving you a lot of grief and a lot of slack, stress is the number one killer to your gains, because stress will make you either lose weight or put weight on prematurely, and that's gonna throw your level off by itself.
But couldn't you use the stress as the motivation also?
If we're talking about the same kind of stress that yes, of course you can use stress as motivation, but you got to know how to channel it. And most people are not going to sit there and take the time to research that and research a proper technique to actually challenging this stress. Like what I would do, I try to use everything that, whether it's negative or positive, as fuel. So for the most part, yeah, you can do that. If it was like you boxing and you're hitting a bag and stuff to relieve some stress because you want to hit something, makes sense. But what I know
makes
about
a lot of sense.
what I know about the body, right? I'm no nutritionalist, but what I know about the body, beginning once you under the stress, your body can actually hold in water. If your body's holding in water, that's going to give you an appearance of being, you know, fat, right? Now, also, if your body's under stress, you might lose your appetite. If you're trying to build muscle, right, and you need your body to perform, you know, day after day, time after time, because you actually, when you actually start to bodybuild, you're actually using your food takes a different role now. I don't just eat to eat. I eat for a purpose.
Please let my viewers know how many times you eat a day. Because when I heard this, I was bugging out. Like, wow.
You eat about six times a day.
6 times a day, people.
6 times a day. Now, when you're increasing, when you actually eat 6 times a day, what you're actually doing is you're actually trying to speed up your metabolic rate in order to burn more calories.
Right.
Right? Now, this makes sense. If I put something in, right, my stomach, my body, my stomach has to break it down, right? If I'm doing that more frequent, that means it has to do this function more frequently. So what wind up happening is, in order for it to do this function effectively, it has to burn calories in order to complete this operation that I needed done, right? Now, in this sense, you actually start to lose weight, even though you keep the calories pretty much stable, right? Now, a key thing to actually helping your body to perform its task is to drink more water, because when your body does go through this process, it creates waste. The best way, the most efficient way to utilize getting rid of the waste would be to actually consume more water. Now, consuming more water will help you to get rid of water. Now, where you have water weight, right? You drink more water and it helps you to release more water, and then you show more muscle. But it's a whole process, and it takes time to really get the concept. So the best way that I recommend to actually do that is study it. Same way like when we were in school and they gave you spelling words, right? By the end of the week, you had to memorize. You could say the spelling words front and back. So if you're concerned with your diet, Google it. We didn't have Google when I was little. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have none of this stuff.
Cell phones,
We had dictionaries and encyclopedias. And if you had an old one, you were lucky. You got the best.
No, actually, all the households had encyclopedias because they would come
Britannica. I had a
to
Britannica.
your preschool, and they would get your address, and then they would come visit you at home and do a presentation. So everybody had encyclopedias back then, luckily. But you know, it is a difference. We didn't have Google, Yahoo, none of that.
Facebook.
We barely had beepers, you know, barely.
No, we didn't have no beepers when we was little. When I was little,
I'm
no
older
beepers.
than you, young man.
When the first cell phone came out, it was about the size of my trophy. The first cell phone was about that size, and then
What a big antenna.
and with an antenna about, no exaggeration, about a half a foot of antenna. And then you either had to be very important or a very bad person to own one of those kind of phones.
Or a military person. Military
You ain't
people.
see no military person, no.
The
in your
military
block
people in my
with no-
family they always.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because we was using their phones, so.
You
But,
used a phone.
Yes.
Satellite phones. Yeah.
To get back to the bodybuilding.
Yes.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching LiveThatSINY. I'm your host, Jah Dreddz. We're sitting here with national finalist, Team Universe, lightweight champion, Anthony Hunt Jr.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I call him Super Tone. So we have the champion here with us. Apparently, we're going to have to bring him back in here because he's too informative on fitness and the bodybuilding, and we can't get all our questions in. I have people just hitting up, you know, it's 2015. They're hitting up my tablet, my phone, just questions, and that'll be something that we'll look forward to, viewers. We'll bring him back in. Maybe we'll get in a big studio and have a studio audience here, and we can do it live. If not, he'll be back. Don't worry.
I wanted to take the time to explain uh, a little something about the natural physique. If you if you've been bombarded by images of unnatural physiques, how do you know what to look for when you do see a natural physique? Because you're so accustomed to seeing images of, you know, unnatural, unrealistic. How do you get like that? And they sell you the dream. They sell you the exercise equipment. They sell you the, the gym memberships, and then you're blind because the staff is inequipped to actually handle, you know, what your personal goals and needs are. You know.
That and 9 times out of 10 is just, it's just the face of it. They don't even use it. They wouldn't even know how to work it, how to put it together. That's another thing. Getting back to you, Chair. What future endeavors do you have coming up that my viewers can look for? I mean, he's very approachable. If you see him in the streets, you have a question, you can ask him. There's no beef in between there. He likes that.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, with, my with me being a competitor, I actually took my physique and the look to the next level, right? And me being natural, I don't know a lot of guys naturally that actually look the way I look. Like, I don't know anyone personally, so I really don't. I only go off of information that I personally get, and I get this information from the shows and other professionals. So when a person asks me a question, I take the time out of my day, regardless of the fact of where I'm going or what I'm about to do, to answer the question as educatedly as possible. Because, it's a whole bunch of misconceptions. If we had enough time, I can actually sit there and give you story after story after story.
Don't worry, we're going to bring you back. We're going to get story after story after story.
About misconceptions and how your body's supposed to respond, and how, how you can't get your legs bigger, or you can't get this, or you can't get that. The first problem with that is the word can't. If you're a bodybuilder, you go, you do. That's the challenge. You look forward to the challenge. You know, you don't want to away from a challenge. If you plan to be successful at whatever cost, right? And most of these guys, if they ready to go that route, I don't know what that extra substance is gonna do to me. I'm not, I've achieved this like that. I like what I got going on right here. I'm gonna stick with what I know.
Okay. So future endeavors, because you got some big things coming up. I want my viewers to be in on this.
November, I believe it's either November 6th or November 8th. I'm trying to get down to Miami to do another national show. This particular contest, I actually called and spoke with some people the other day, and it was the actual promoter of the event is not going to be back until mid-July. So that's what was left on the answering service.
Okay.
So I just had some concerns with, do they do the testing prior? Because,
you don't want the same thing to happen again.
Yeah, I'd rather them do the testing prior. I mean, everybody works hard. Like, if you actually went to a show, like, this is wow. Everybody's in shape. Everybody's sharp. Everybody did a diet. Everybody, you have some that go a little above and beyond, and then some that look like, they know who they are, like they shouldn't be there because they didn't properly diet and do all the steps, Now, when you work that hard for anything, everybody backstage wants to be a champion, So
what is the atmosphere backstage? Not to throw you off. But,
The atmosphere is
I mean, everybody's pumped up back
the
there.
atmosphere is mayhem, right? But it's somewhat controlled mayhem because it's everybody everywhere doing everything. You got the cameras here, you got the cameras there, you got this endorser, that endorser, this sponsor, that sponsor. That it's all these little booths. Everybody's dressed, very revealing.
Is it like the other sports? Like you see,
No,
I see them talking junk on the basketball court. I see them talking junk on the football court. Like
bodybuilding as a sport is unlike anything you know to date. Most of our work is actually done in the gym. The second half of the work is actually done in your home, including your preparation. You have to actually study how to actually pose to present yourself on stage, or you'll look like a total fool. And you don't want to get up there and look like a fool. You
so,
wanna,
in addition to building your body, you also have to practice when.
how to display it,
Okay.
properly. If I was selling you a vehicle, right, and I'm selling you a Lexus, and this guy over here to my left is selling you a Lexus, right? This guy that's selling you a Lexus, he just said, "Hey, it's a Lexus, a 2010 Lex, right? I got the same exact car, but I tell you about all the features, right? You'll feel more comfortable with knowing all the features. This guy is over here selling you the same car. He ain't tell you nothing about it. Which car would you buy? The one with the features.
Exactly.
So to make that register to the judges and the audience, you have to go about doing your study, getting the poses down right, getting yourself a long mirror, and then one of those little mirrors. You know how you check your hair? The vanity mirror? Get the vanity mirror so you can check out what's going on behind you if you're hitting the poses right. A lot of this stuff that I go through.
So you put the mirror behind you, basically.
No, you put the long mirror be behind you. You took the small mirror because it's easy to manipulate it. And if you want to check on your legs or your back, this is the best way to do it. What if you're by yourself? If you don't have anybody with a camera, everybody has a camera phone. But a lot of times, like you're gonna get B in your underwears in front of. I go on stage and do
That's
it,
true.
but I'm still self-conscious when I'm not on stage. It's a part. It's a part of.
Yeah, and that same self-conscious that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I believe a lot of guys stay away from bodybuilding because, it's that misconception, once again, that just a little shrinkage.
You
know
have
what I'm saying?
you
It's
have
just-
nothing to fear but fear itself. If an individual is natural, basically, I'm not worried. I got the same stuff that I started with.
Okay, then.
I heard, that's why I don't like to comment on stuff like that because I've heard or I've seen. I can't tell you that because I never experienced it personally.
Right.
So you might need to direct your attention to somebody that that would actually admit that they actually
wow.
you.
Yeah.
See, they won't admit. They backstage with me, and I know the difference. I've been training for some time. I know the difference, and be like, yeah, I'm natural, and I'm looking at the dude like,
Yeah.
I mean, you wanna say that. You gotta select a few that can actually boast that look really good, but they're diamonds in the rough. But you can tell instantaneously, and
I
then
mean,
when
you're one of those few, so,
thank you. When you're one of those it's not even. I mean, if you're gonna do it, then do it and own it.
And when I say one of those few, I mean one of those few that's natural and put the hard work in.
If you're gonna do something, own it. Own up to it. Okay, yeah, bro, I use this, that, and third. Be proud of it. Now, I think the reason they don't, speak on that issue is because they know it's like,
It's cheating.
it's like,
It's
yeah,
cheating,
it's
basically.
no, I wouldn't call it cheating. I feel like it's lack of knowledge because if they knew how they can actually look naturally, see, they wind up chasing the mass. They want to be bigger. They want to be bigger. If they knew they could look this way at 154 pounds, if they knew how to train properly.
You hear that? He's 50 pounds lighter than me.
100, yeah. And you know, the muscles spread. If they knew how to train properly, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to actually look for an outside source, you know? Again, with training properly, I'm probably the only competitor that didn't have a coach for dieting. I did all my dieting information I got from Google and YouTube videos, right?
Okay.
And
Determination.
I applied it, and I worked hard at what I made the whole process easier. To do a diet, I simply went out and bought a whole bunch of food that I Googled that was good for me to eat, and that's all I ate. No, I mean, they make it harder, they make it complex by actually bombarding you with too much information on the internet. If you have too much information, it's an information overload. Your body can't,
Your
the
brain
mind can't
Yeah, your brain
process
is like, what's
everything,
going on
everything.
here?
You need to focus on one thing at a time. If you're gonna diet and you want to be successful at the diet, start with something that you actually can change. You can actually change the food that's in your house. If it's fried food, throw the oil out. Get rid of the oil. If you don't have no oil, you're not gonna sit there and keep buying oil. Man, bake it, boil it. And this is one of the
Steam it.
yeah, steam it. This is one of the ways that nobody had to actually tell me that. I actually knew to do that. I prefer to eat that way for the simple fact that it's easier. If I want to cook something, I'm kind of lazy. I'm a bodybuilder. I just take a bunch of chicken, throw it in the oven, put it on low, leave it there, come back in an hour, it's done. I look like the best man in the world. My lady's like, oh,
Ah,
you cooked. Yeah, I
you
cooked.
just told the secret right
You
now.
cooked. Yeah, I cooked.
Uh-oh.
What you
Oh,
talk about? Anyway,
now you know, okay?
I look like a superhero. Made
Perfect
dinner.
word. Let's talk about this superhero. What you got coming up with the superhero?
Okay. I'm actually in the process of putting a ebook together.
So will
It'll
be a
be
publication available for
yes,
people.
it'll be available on my blog. The blog is currently up right now, but I don't have any. I only have my opening page. I haven't had the time to actually upload any images and competitions and stuff. Um, if you're interested in getting in contact with me, it would. Right now, I have Anthony Jr. Hunt on IG or on Facebook. You can use
IG is Instagram.
Instagram and on Facebook, Anthony Jr. Hunt on Facebook. Um, if you're trying to get in touch with me for sponsors, because again, I have no sponsors and I'm representing Staten Island and I'm representing New York. You know, that's
And
big.
he's representing. You see the trophies here. So, representing means a big thing.
Yes. Also, just for advice in general, because it's like, I feel it's a duty now to inform people, you know, that it's a better way. Stop being fooled. Stop spending extra money to do something that your body's gonna do naturally.
Stop being misinformed. Period.
Yeah, you
That
know,
goes a long way.
especially by individuals in or around the gym that's gonna discourage you from even trying. Oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that. Oh, you're big bone. If they use that sentence, you're big bone, or you can't gain weight because you have a fast metabolism, those are people. As soon as you hear that, just run away from them because they don't know what they're talking about. Go to a
Wow.
source where you can get some good information. You do better off Googling
Okay.
than listening to somebody, who's not doing no better than you trying to give you advice.
Wow, champ. Time goes so fly.
Yes.
Okay. So fly.
So
Clothing
fly.
label, yes.
Uh-huh.
Time's up. So we'll see you next time on LiveThatSINY with your host, Jah Dreddz, and lightweight champion, Anthony Hunt Jr. See you later.
All right. We still on? So
We're still doing extra.